Welcome to the Chief Endurance Officer Podcast. I'm your host, Greg McDonough. Each week, we hear real time stories from athletes and CEOs on how to maximize performance through an endurance mindset. Let's get started. Well, welcome to the show. I am super thrilled to have this guest today. He is an Olympian, successful entrepreneur, has a passion for swimming, children, and community health. He competed in the 2000 and 2004 Olympics, where he set multiple Olympic records and won 4 gold medals. He is the founder of a youth swim academy that brings his champion's mindset to swim education. Today, he leads multiple ventures in aquatic fitness, healthcare, while actively serving on boards of organizations that support children, athletes with disabilities, and families affected by cancer. He is the president of Swim Right Academy, a partner in Ocean Man USA. Please welcome Lenny Krayzelburg. I butchered that. How do you pronounce your last name, Lenny?
Krayzelburg.
Krayzelburg. I had the first letter off. That's what makes this show fun. Lenny, I love talking about the endurance mindset. So I'm curious, how has your endurance mindset impacted your life unexpectedly?
Well, I always, first of all, thank you for welcoming me. I appreciate the introduction. I'm excited for our conversation. For me, obviously everything goes back to my days as an athlete. The endurance approach that nothing happens overnight. You need to put in the work, you need to put in the grind, and to just believe in what you're doing. And that type of mindset has really helped me in relationships and quite a bit, because sometimes, as you go through life, you have ups and downs and you want to give up. And yet if you stick with it, you meet people that you didn't expect to necessarily meet people that change your life for the better. And for me, that was probably the most impactful. So is it with business. I think sometimes you try, at least in my instances, there were moments where you weren't sure if this was the right path. I wasn't sure if I was on the right path, and I was trying to figure out whether or not I need to make a pivot and make a shift. And yet I stuck with it. And, a year later, the doors are opening that I never expected for them to open. I never even imagined it, never saw it. But again, it all came from that perseverance. I think the word perseverance, endurance, and things, they align. And for me, I really been able to apply what I learned in the pool for so many years to life.
I'd love to dig in a little bit deeper on that concept of knowing you're on the right path, but contemplating a pivot, right? But then ultimately sticking with it, and then a door opens or an opportunity arises. What is it about like that moment when you're considering a pivot that kind of keeps you going? Go a little bit deeper there, Lenny. I'd love to understand that.
Yeah, for me, it's always been it's talking to people, asking for different opinions. I think it's really important for me, and just then taking a step back and waiting. What makes sense, what doesn't make sense. How does one view potential, advice that I asked for? How do I view someone's advice that I asked for? So I think that's really important. But at the end of the day, for me, a lot of it has been my gut feeling in the moment when you're even considering a potential pivot, but your gut tells you no, stick to it, and that's really important. And we actually do know scientifically and medically that there is a direct correlation between your gut and your brain, and to be able to really go with your gut feel, we say it as just going with your gut feeling, but there is more to that, and I lean a lot into that feeling as well.
Have there been times that your gut feeling has told you to stop pursuing a project, stop pursuing an opportunity? Because what I'm thinking through, right, using our gut feeling to keep us pushing forward, at some point in time, your gut feeling is going to be like, you know what, this isn't the right opportunity or the right path for me anymore. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've encountered a couple of business projects that my gut feeling was telling me it's a wrong project, and I still got into it. And then actually down the road, I realized it was a wrong project. So I think it's also, I think it's important to be observant overall, just in one's experiences and one's beliefs, successes, failures, and then being able to make those decisions when your gut tells you, one thing, and then you might decide to still go against that, only to realize down the road that no, you should have listened to yourself. Uh, but for me, it's always been a trial and error. And I think if you're not willing to risk certain things in life, I think you're just gonna. I feel like you're gonna have a pretty boring life. And um, coming from a athletic background, coming from experiences of competing at the highest level of sports, always pushing yourself to the limit, because that's the only way you know whether you're able to reach those things that you sometimes don't believe you can reach those goals. So if you don't try, if you don't experiment with things, you will never know.
You know, what came to mind when you were saying that is the gut feeling I get before starting a race, right? You're in your wetsuit. I do triathlon, right? So you're in your wetsuit. You're about to do a 2.4-mile swim. You think you got the training in, but then you've got the bike and you run after that. And there's a lot of emotion and gut feelings and things that sort of bubble up during that moment. I would love for you to share with the audience, like some of the things that bubble up when you're stepping onto the block on the Olympic stage.
Yeah, going back to my days when I was competing, obviously at the highest level, I was always, at least when I got to kind of the top level, I was always very confident in my abilities. But for me, it all came from what I did every day. The way I pushed myself, the way I prepared, the way I studied my opponents, competitors. The way I was always trying to ask questions or ask, how can I be better? I felt like anytime I came to competition, there wasn't any doubt that I left anything on the table. And because of that, I never had that feeling in my gut that, well, what will happen if I don't do this, or if I don't go out as fast, or if I go out too slow. So it was for me, it was always preparation. And because of feeling that I was always prepared when the competition came around, I had very little doubt, and my gut was always kind of aligning with my confidence.
Let's talk about preparation. Because to your point, you know, you're leading up to one specific thinking about the Olympic stage, like one specific event that's not very long, right? And so any small fraction of, a missed start, a bad turn, you name it, can kind of throw off the race. So the preparation has to be spot on, like leading up to that starting line and building that confidence. Um, can you talk, like, what are some of the tricks that you would go through? What are some of the mindset that you had to help you be prepared at that highest level at that single point in time?
Yeah, for me, I actually never looked at like the Olympics as my end goal, because I think that's very, very tough when you start projecting out. I mean, yes, you have the goals, but it's hard to project that out over down the few years down the road without actually having shorter goals and focusing on them. Because there is a lot of truth that it's about the journey, not the destination. And I think it's about being the best you can be during the journey, and experiencing what it's like every single day. Uh, Listen, I was always incredibly grateful for, my God-given talent that I was born with, that I can actually be at this level, compete at this level, train at this level. So every day I wanted to be the best I can be, um, you know, getting the most out of myself in preparation. So, my focuses were what's my next competition? What do I want to swim that next race? What do I want to swim at the end of the year? I was a backstroker, so are we going to focus on doing 10 underwater kicks off each wall? So, I mean, there was definitely a smaller goals that I wanted to make sure they're habitual. And I felt, and I feel that now, that those were important in ultimate success of being, winning the Olympic gold medals, is that I had those little things. And I also, I was a great believer that, if you just focus on one moment in time, you're going to get incredibly overwhelmed. Is that you put way too much pressure on yourself. And there's, life, you just don't know what life can throw your way. You can be in an Olympic Village food court and get food poisoning the night before before your Olympic final, and what's going to happen? All that work, all that commitment and sacrifice you've done over the years, it's all thrown out of the window. So you can't think of it this way. You have to be able to compartmentalize it in the shorter goals and shorter focused intentions.
That's a great lesson there, Lenny, about it's the journey and not the destination. And I really appreciated when you started talking about smaller goals, right? It's what's the goal today that leads you into the longer term goal. I'm curious, did you ever, or how did you prepare for those what if scenarios? The goggles break, you have bad food the night before. Like, I would imagine you had thought through many of these negative or bad scenarios that may or may not happen. Do you run through sort of the mental exercise of that?
Actually, you'd be surprised. I did not. I never wanted to. I'm by nature, I'm a very positive person, and I'm an internal optimist. So I didn't want to think about that, because and now as I reflect back on it, I certainly wasn't as life experienced 25 years ago as I am now. But in retrospect, as I look at it, I just didn't want to have the negative thoughts, just that energy. Didn't want it to enter my body, because if that enters your body, then you start thinking about it. And I didn't want to think about what ifs. What if I don't do this, and what if I don't do that? Yeah, for me, it was all about preparation. If I can control what I can control, that was the only mindset I allowed myself to have.
It's another great lesson. I'd love to go back. Like, when did that mindset and understanding, that deep understanding, come to you? Like, were you 5 years old, 15 years old? Like, when did you realize that, hey, I just want to control what I can control and stay positive? Like, how did that learning come into your life?
I think there are a couple of really important life moments or experiences that I guess molded me and my personality. One is, being born in the Soviet Union. Now it's Ukraine, and being part of the Soviet sports system. So when I was a kid, I started swimming when I was 5. At 9, I was selected to a special group of kids that had potential to do something. And so my 4th grade school class was actually my swim team. And we spent the whole day together. We trained 5 hours a day at 9 years old. So what experience at that age taught me there are no shortcuts in life. You have to work really hard, and you're gonna have moments of pressure and stress, and that was a great learning experience for me. And then being an immigrant coming to this country, and I was 13 and a half when we immigrated to Los Angeles, and just watching my parents struggle and persevere being an immigrant, not speaking the language. I myself didn't speak the language when we immigrated here. Coming to a big city like Los Angeles, I mean, you could get lost and overwhelmed with everything that's thrown your way every day. So I've always looked at it as just life is just so much bigger, and there's so many like real obstacles in life that sports it's important, but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. And that's why I felt like it was molding me as I was growing up, and I was getting better, in swimming. And then, like I mentioned before, and then I was always grateful for the opportunity, an opportunity that God gave me, the endurance and the skill and the height and the power to be able to then take it to the next level. And so those experiences absolutely played a huge role in my accomplishments and who I am today.
Certainly. I would love for you to continue that story, but talk about the transition from being a competitive athlete at the highest level to an entrepreneur. Like, what has that journey been like for you?
It's been an incredible journey. Can't believe it's been already 20 years since I retired and started my business. I actually started to plan kind of my transition when I was still preparing for 2004 Olympics. I'd like to think I'm very observant. I'm a huge fan of sports overall. I'm always been a fan of looking up to successful people. What I also saw that athletes really had a hard time transitioning from their professional life to the next phase of their life. And I wanted to avoid. So I started to kind of plan my transition or what I wanted to do while I was still training. The other part of it, which was also important, again, I go back to my immigrant experience. I grew up here in Los Angeles among other immigrants from former Soviet Union, and I saw my friends kind of, transition to the next phase, became entrepreneurs, became, business owner, got really successful careers. And I was realizing that the longer I stay in the sports, the further I'm going to be behind in terms of, the next path of my life. And it was important for me to start thinking and planning on this. And when I retired after the Athens Games, I already had a plan. I know I wanted to get into a learn to swim school business. But what's the most important part of that transition was the network and relationships that I built. Because you can't do this on your own. You can't do anything on your own. You need people around you. You need people that support you. You need people you can go to. And the same thing as when you're training, right? When I was training, I mean, I always was very respectful of my coaches. I've always had great relationships. I was always willing to talk. I think talking, communicating is essential at any level of sports, but certainly the highest level of sports. You got to give that coach that feedback. So I built those relationships. Same thing with my teammates that I train with. Same thing with my competitors that I train with. So relationships are really important to me, and I tapped into that approach when I retired and started to focus on the business. I asked people for help. I asked people for guidance. It was really that was essential to getting started. And then when I did get started, and over the past 2 decades now, it's I might have a vision, but it's the people that work with me in my company are the one that's executing my vision. So if I don't treat people the right way, if I don't establish the right culture, if I don't show that I care, then they're not gonna be able to. They will not want to execute the vision and the mission that we have as an organization.
Yeah, that's 100% right. So why swim schools? Like, what was the passion, the idea? Like, where did that bubble up?
Well, so when I was training still for 2004 games, I was training down in Irvine, and the pool we were using, there were a couple of pools. One of them was the one pool we trained. The other pool, there was a learn to swim program, and I just saw the interest, the demand, the impact, which is also very important. I've always enjoyed working with kids. So the impact was really, really powerful. And I felt like, this is something I can see myself doing. I can see myself not necessarily teaching myself, not teaching personally, but creating it and establishing a company that can provide this type of a service and be very impactful because, learning how to swim and providing water safety is a life skill. So making an impact and at the same time making a living. So kind of, it was definitely a win-win situation that I saw myself in.
Could you give us a little bit more on the academy, the Swim Right Academy, and sort of its principles and where you're located, and get some background from there?
Yeah, thank you. We just celebrated our 20th year. So our main two
Congrats.
locations, thank you. Our two locations that we own are in Los Angeles. We also have a great program in Miami that we started about 4.5 years ago. It's all about, the focus is water safety. Absolutely, the fundamental component of what we do is making sure the kids are water safe, know how to behave in the water, no matter what body of water the kids are in order to we empower them with the skills for them to have the confidence and belief that they're water safe. But we've also been able to build kind of a bridge to more stroke development and free competitive if kids choose to take that path. Obviously, kids all have different, and parents have different intentions for their children. So, but we do offer that journey from, trying to be water safe to potentially joining swim teams. And so those are the three sites I have. And then we also have partnerships with a Jewish community center in Dallas, Boston, and Brooklyn, where they use our philosophy, our teaching curriculum, and business processes to run the Learn to Swim program. It's incredibly impactful, and we take a lot of pride in that. But the unique component of our program that I think it's important to highlight is that we have these student books where all the levels are described in the book, and then we give kids stickers when they accomplish their goals, when they accomplish a skill. To kids, it's a sticker. When I created that idea, is goal setting. The idea is goal setting. For a 6-year-old, he's thinking my next sticker is going to be this because I have to do this skill. But to me, it's we're giving him an opportunity to start thinking how to plan, how to goal set, how to work towards something. So when sometimes on the pool deck and the kid tells me, I got 2 more stickers and I'm going to graduate, level 4, the kid is thinking about that. And so that's really important. And that's powerful to what we're trying to accomplish.
It's super powerful. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier with small goals leading into longer term goals. And the sooner we can get that taught and absorbed, even though they don't realize they're being taught goal setting, the more they're going to be able to achieve. Lenny, I saw you chuckle when you talked about the kids and parents having different intentions. Was there anything you wanted to expand on that?
Well, I think today there's so much pressure in our society for parents to decide, what they want their kids to do and push them in that one direction. I have to tell you, I made a mistake personally with my daughters. They're now older; they're 20 now. But back in there, when they were younger, they started to do rhythmic gymnastics, and that was our focus from like 4 years old until 12. And I regret that. I regret the fact that I kind of went down that rabbit hole of just keeping him in one sport and the pressure the pressure that I felt, or we as a family felt, that you needed to stay in one sport because coaches have to, focus on your child, and you can't do multi-sports, because if you're going to do multi-sports, then the coach isn't going to give your child an attention. And then, our friends down the street, their kids are doing gymnastics 6 days a week, and we're only, so like all that social pressure is very powerful in a negative way. Because listen, at the end of the day, if you look at some of the best athletes in the world today, they don't start specializing until like 12, 13, 14. Like if you're a good athlete, you're going to find a sport that you can really excel in. But if you're not going to be a good athlete and you're going to specialize at something at a very young age, I think you're just really limiting opportunities down the road. So that's why I chuckle, because parents are more chasing what the society tells them and not necessarily what's in the best interest of their kids.
Yeah, I've got a 12 and a 16-year-old, and we struggle with that. And both of them are multi-sport. The youngest is dance and swimming, and the oldest is crew, swimming, and golf. And it's a balance, right? It's like, which practice do you go to, or do you have a match? What do you skip? What do you not skip? But I'm encouraged by hearing you say that having that variety is a positive thing. And then to your ultimate point, like the sport's going to find them. If they have competitive, long-term, highest stage opportunities, those opportunities are going to find them. Lenny, I'm going to shift gears on you a little bit. As an open water swimmer, I'd love to talk and learn more about Ocean Man.
Yeah, this is a very exciting project that just recently I'm getting involved with a couple of my business partners that actually we own the swim schools down in Miami, and we brought another our partner into this venture. This is exciting. I mean, obviously, open water is becoming more and more popular. Ocean Man built a really incredible brand over the past 10 years since they were founded, and they got quite a following. And for us, and really even for me personally, I'm all into about wellness. I'm all into about finding a purpose. And I know there are so many people in their midlife that are looking for that challenge, for that next thing that they can do that they're truly passionate about, that they wake up in the morning with a purpose. It's not about their careers. It's about something else that you want to align with, that excites you. And there was this opportunity with Ocean Man because of the way they put the events together. It's a celebration. It's a celebration of people coming together. They have we are already over 500 people that signed up for the race from 29 countries. So that just tells you the community part of it, and people that are coming from I guess from a lot of parts around the globe to participate in an event like this. And we're excited about to build this in the United States. So we actually bought the U.S. territory, and we'll continue to build more and more events in the States. But this goes beyond the race. This is people traveling. This is about creating, down the road, we're looking to create wellness fairs as part of the event, because we really want to provide people with opportunity to be the best they can be. Longevity. We want them to have that healthy mindset, healthy lifestyle, because obviously then they'll trickle that down to their children, and it's the way of life. So then you become, you raising the next generation of kids that have a different perspective on life and what's important, and having a purpose. So there's so much to this ecosystem that has already been established globally, and we're just excited to bring that to the U.S. and have all these people come and experience it here.
Will you share some of the details around like what the event is, how it dates, those types of things?
Yeah, so our first, and we're really excited, our first event, November 14th through 16th in Miami, Hullover Beach. The event is going to be, so Oceanman has different events, a 10K, a 5K, a 2K. There is a 500 meter kids race, and then there is a 1,500 meter relay, up to 3 people. So really, over 2 days. The races are two days, Saturday, Sunday. We'll have an event on the 14th in the evening for people that are coming in. But again, this is an opportunity. People can do multiple events, obviously on a Saturday and a Sunday. But really, this is it's going to be Miami in November. The weather is awesome. The water should be pretty calm by that time. So we're really, really excited about the opportunity. The community, it's been great in Miami in terms of the city support and the resources that we'll be providing for us to put this event together. And obviously, this is the first Oceanman event in the United States, and we want to do it right, and we want to really, show people what we're looking to build here in the United States, and so far the interest has been tremendous.
That's fantastic. The longest open water swim I did was 7.5 miles. And I needed to bring my own kayaker so I could hit my nutrition and basically not drown. I'm curious, at Oceanman for the 10K, how is nutrition? Are they bringing their own kayakers, or is it race supported? Like, how does that work logistically?
Yeah, it's going to be race supported. So what's been really great about Oceanman is they have really precise safety standards and expectations in terms of the boats and the distances and the buoys and the loop. And, obviously there's going to be, for the 10, there's going to be a feeding station. So we're really, following a template that has worked. But obviously safety at a forefront. We might be actually overdoing it a little bit, even adding more kayaks and boats and lifeguards to be able to make sure that people feel good and comfortable about the race.
Awesome. And I suspect you're looking for participants, but you're also, I suspect, looking for volunteers.
Well, we are looking for volunteers, absolutely. Obviously, our focus is to have over 1,000 athletes. So you participate in a lot of events like this. You know how much support is needed behind the scene on the ground to execute on something like this. So we do we are looking for volunteers to help out. I'm sure we'll find things for them to do.
Last year, I volunteered for the Challenge Athlete Foundation Triathlon Day in San Diego, and my eyes were opened with how much pre-work has to go into these events, days and weeks before. It gave me a totally new appreciation for when I'm at the starting line of what has happened already in order to make those opportunities. Lenny, I got one last question for you, and it's around swim training and the difference between training in an ocean and training in like a lake body of water, a sort of a flat body of water. And I'm really asking this for my own personal reasons. I haven't done an ocean swim other than just like go pal around when I'm at the beach. Any tips or tricks or differences in sort of how to approach your training if you're training for an ocean water swim versus a lake open water swim?
I would be quite honestly, Greg, the wrong person to ask, because I have not done lake swimming. I've done recreation a couple of times, ocean swim with a group of people that we actually swim masters in the pool. They just love going out there in a cold Pacific Ocean and doing regular swims. I don't. So it's hard for me to advise on the difference. I just don't have enough knowledge training wise or experience to be able to lead you in the right path.
Well, fair enough. I appreciate you being honest and not leading us down the wrong path. Lenny, audience member wants to get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
The best would be obviously are oceanman.com, but you also email me on lenny@oceanmanswim.com, or on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is always the best way to connect. I think you and I might have connected on LinkedIn. That's really is the place where I spend a lot of time on. So would love to connect whoever reaches out and, continue, like I told you earlier, like just build a network and build relationships, because I'm all about that.
Wonderful. And we'll include those links in the show notes. Audience members, if you got some value out of today's show, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Send this to your community. Let's spread this word about Ocean Man. And any of you who are not open water swimmers yet, get in there. It's an experience that's really worth doing, and especially in a way that it sounds like Ocean Man is putting on this celebration, this community-based event. I can't wait to participate. I've got a conflict for November, but the next one, I got an eye on it. So Lenny, thank you for your time today. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was wonderful.
Thank you for tuning in to the Chief Endurance Officer Podcast. To hear more inspiring stories and strategies around the endurance mindset, be sure to subscribe below or visit us at chiefenduranceofficer.com. Until next time, keep pushing those limits.